Hi, I'm Peg Fitzpatrick, and I am so excited to share this interview with you. It's somebody who I've admired and respected for a very long time. I love all of her content. She has an amazing YouTube channel, and this interview is just fantastic for anybody who's an entrepreneur and who wants to learn how they can get themselves up to the next level with their business. So I hope you'll join me for this great interview with Marie Forleo.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Peg, for having me on. And I just want to say, just at the onset before we get into this, that your energy is amazing. I was on
Oh,
your Instagram profile a little while ago, and it's just like there is so much light and so much fun and love that comes through everything that you share. And I really
thank
admire that
you.
about you.
Thank you. When you have me on MarieTV, it'll be just like this, but I'll be on your set.
Yay!
That's on my wish list. I'll throw it out there in the universe because it
I love
always
it.
happens when you throw it out there. So when we get started, I wanted to talk first about your YouTube channel, which is kind of like your website and your YouTube channel are your
Yeah.
foundation for like all of your world. So
Yes.
can you tell me about how you got started on your YouTube channel and some advice for people who might want to start a YouTube channel?
Yes. So I'll give a little context just to paint an accurate picture.
Yes.
So I've been doing this since the year 2000. And when I say this, I mean creating an audience, sharing content, coaching, all of that stuff. So it
Yes.
started off with just text-based content, email marketing. Then it transformed into blogs and written content. And then I think it was around 2008, 2009 when I started getting this itch to create in video. And the impetus for that is, you mentioned that I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. So as I was starting to grow my coaching business in the early 2000s, I was also very passionate about hip hop and
Mm.
dance. And
Hmm.
so I had a career in those realms, and I have like 4 fitness videos. Like if you troll through Walmart or the Target or wherever still sells fitness DVDs, you might come across me on a cover like, "Hey, I'm gonna dance you thin," or whatever the cheesy, awful names were that I had no part of because I was the talent coming up with those. My point in saying that was that this itch to create on video came around that time. And I started just with my webcam, just like you and I are doing right now. I
Yeah.
figured, if I could answer questions, and part of the impetus too, this is funny because he's out there somewhere, is I got a puppy, my dog Kuma. And
Yeah.
I was so enthralled with my puppy, and I noticed how much time I was spending with him that I'm like, okay, it takes me a lot of time to write blogs and write content, but I could answer questions much faster if I just look into my camera. So that's what I started doing. So I just turned on my webcam. There was no lighting, there was no editing, there was no team, there was no nothing. It was me and iMovie and like sticking it up on the blog. And
Yeah.
so over the years, it has evolved very, very organically. I had no idea, Peg, that it would become a show like
Yeah.
that I had no clue that that was going to happen. That was something that transpired out of just doing it again and again and again and looking for ways to optimize and be more effective and save my time and
Right.
understanding what the possibilities are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I still think that people can start a channel today. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. Peg, I know we'll get into this, but I was looking at a story the other day about a fellow B schooler, right? Someone in our
Hmm.
community, a gentleman named Shane Farmer. And I think it was just like a year or two ago, he got into this world and now has the #1 YouTube channel about rowing online, like a
That's
fitness
awesome.
niche. So I think anyone can start a channel. I don't think video is going away. I don't think humans
Mm.
wanting to learn things, humans wanting to be inspired, humans wanting to be entertained, especially via video or via audio, depends on what medium that you like. It ain't going away.
I agree. I agree. I mean, years ago, my daughters were like obsessed with YouTube, and it was like they were all the time watching it, YouTube, YouTube, and it's just evolved into, I think people look there more to Pinterest and YouTube for how to do things than Google, to be honest. Like,
Absolutely. I mean, the first place I go, if I'm trying to figure out whatever it is, like how do I
yeah.
really poach an egg the right way? Or, the other day I was trying to fix, there was the sprayer on my sink in my kitchen was broke. And I was like, I bet you somebody has made a video about how to, take all these pieces apart, fix it. And of course, I got where I needed to go, and part of the help was YouTube.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love learning new things too. And learning new things like whoever thought you needed to fix a faucet and then you did it.
Yeah, everything's figure outable.
Yeah, and that you could have that channel that teaches people to row better. Or I love that no matter what your passion is, there's somebody else that shares it. You know,
Yes.
the people who go super, super like niche on things sometimes really just kill it.
Absolutely. And oftentimes that is a really smart strategy to get in to a bigger world. You know, when I
Hmm.
first started my first book, I'm working on my second book now, and I took a long time in between. But, you know, I focused on women and relationships and dating. First of all, it was a really big topic in my own life. And a lot of
Yeah,
my individual coaching clients at that particular time, that was a hot topic. So I'm like, why
yeah.
not focus on it? And focusing down and going into that niche really allowed me to kind of leapfrog in many ways and make a lot more connections that allowed me to then jump into the world that I'm in today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hooray for your second book. Woohoo. The
Yay!
second the second book is almost harder than the first book because you've done it once and then it's like the pressure.
Yes.
I'm on my second book now too, and I'm like but I'm not as far along as you are, I don't think. I think you're
Oh,
farther
I
along.
don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say that, but it's a painful, at least for me, it is a painful process. I so admire people who are like, I just love to write and I just sit down and it comes out of me and I'm like, oh, that is so not me.
I do love to write, but the book process, it's like you know what your end goal is, so it's bigger than just writing a blog post or
Yes.
writing an email or something like that. So I love your tagline for Marie TV, the place to be if you want to build a business and life you love. And
Yes.
every time, I love the way that you play around with it too. Like in your intro, sometimes you're just like super goofy with it, which is awesome.
Yes.
So can you explain? Because I know it's not just like they're not empty words. Like this is
No,
like really your whole like everything behind it and how your business runs and your content goes. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit? Like how
absolutely.
that tagline drives everything.
It
Motto or
does.
tagline? Do you say motto or tagline?
I actually don't refer to it that often, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, you know, it could be either. I think if I
Yeah.
do refer to it as it relates to Marine TV, it's tagline. If I
Hmm.
think about life motto, it's everything is figure outable. So,
Yeah. Okay.
in terms of those words, you're right. They're not just empty words.
Mm-mm.
Um, joy for me is one of my highest values. I think that, you know, we're here on the planet for such a short amount of time. And
Yeah.
as you get older, you start to realize how short it really is.
Hmm.
And there's no reason we shouldn't enjoy it. We are going to have pain. We are going to have suffering. We are going to have loss. We are going to have grief. However, there is many pockets that we choose to fill up with stress and strife and overwhelm and just wanting to tear our hair out. And that is a choice. And so
Hmm.
for me, building a business and life you love means really tapping into what is it that I most want? What are the kinds of activities and projects? What's the difference that I want to make? Who are the kind of people that I want to surround myself with? And who are the kind of people that I want to make a difference to? What is going to help me express the most joy, feel the most joy, share the most joy, have it be fun, have this whole thing be enjoyable? Because I mean, Peg, let's face it, what, in 100 years from now, you and me and most of the people listening are going to be powder. That's it.
Right.
Done.
Right.
Right? Zip.
But it's possible that someone could watch an old episode of Marie TV and be inspired. Like
Yes.
think about that.
It's kind of cool.
It
And
is cool.
so if I can, and I think that one of my, you know, all of us have gifts. Every
Hmm.
single person on the planet, every single person listening right now has a set of unique gifts that no one else ever has had and no one else ever will have. And you have got to, when you're on this planet for this short amount of time, figure out a way to share what makes you uniquely you because it's the only expression you'll ever be. So one of my gifts I know is being goofy and being joyful and being playful. And so for me to have a vehicle in which to share that, and I've realized as I've grown this business, I've been doing this again since like the year 2000, the more I share my joy with my team, you know,
Yeah.
it's a show in the fact that we have a set, now we have a team, I have outfits, we have lighting, like that's a show, but it's not a put on. That's how
No.
we are all the time,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah,
And
and that's obvious. I mean, it's so obvious that it's all like it's planned and organized, but organic. And I read this study recently that talked about how people who are younger, like people who are like you live longer if you're immature, which Which I've been saying for years, like people are like, how are you so young? Like you seem so young. I'm like, I'm immature, I think. And there was a study that actually backed it up. Like the less serious you take yourself, the longer you're gonna live.
Peg, you got to send me this study because this
I
is
gotta
backing
find
up
it.
everything. I hear the same thing all the time. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't feel very different than when I was like 17 or 18. I have the
right.
accumulation of wisdom and experience, and I'm responsible. But besides that, all bets are off.
I know. Same with me. Same. Like, honestly, people think I'm like decades younger than I am.
I love it.
I would never say how old I am. But yeah, and I always tell people it's because I'm immature. And that part of that, like the playful, like you just don't
Yes.
take yourself so seriously.
And
Why?
humor is really healing. Humor is
Yes,
extraordinarily healing. And,
it is.
I was reading something, I was actually writing, working on my book. And I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. Love Game of Thrones. There's certain shows that I just obsess over. That's one of them. And Caitlin Stark, for anyone who watches and you're a nut like me, there's a line where she says, uh, laughter is poison to fear. And I'm like,
Mm,
I love that. So
that
anytime,
is so good.
we're afraid or we might feel fear, if there's anything that we can find humor in or be a little goofy about, all of a sudden it loosens everything up and you can see things from a brand new perspective and most likely be able to move ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I totally am like that. Like if there's an emergency, family crisis, whatever it is, humor, number one. Like I am there with the jokes. Like I'm down for making everyone laugh because
Yes.
it makes it better.
And I will say this, back to your original question, in creating a business and life you love, I think from a really practical standpoint, think about how much time all of us spend working on a
Yeah.
daily basis. It can be anywhere from 6 to 8 to 12 to 14 hours sometimes. And over the
Hmm.
entire course of our lives, it's the biggest part.
It
Ostensibly,
is.
right? Unless you
Yeah.
were born with a trust fund or you have a completely different reality, which is awesome. You're living in, but for most of us, for most people, you spend the majority of your life working. So
Yeah.
my point of view is let's enjoy it. Let's create the business that we love. There are no rules. We get to
Right.
write the rules. And that's part of what I love helping people do is
Yeah.
going like, hey, we've got this canvas. We've got these incredible tools. We're living in a technological time where the possibilities are limitless. So let's really be intentional about what it is that we're creating and make sure that it works for you.
Yeah. Totally agree. Down with that. I'm just like, I can't even believe that I have been able to create this whole life that I love. Because my husband jokes about that all the time. He tells me like, you totally made up and created a job for yourself. Like what you did is not even a thing. And at first he was like, this is never going to be a job. You're never going to make money. Now he's like, do you need water, honey? Do you need, do you need stronger Wi-Fi? How can I help you like succeed more? And,
I
and
love it.
and that could be a lot of people too, though, getting that pushback from other people saying, hey, what you want to do isn't a thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because it's the thing I made a thing. And it's your
Yes,
thing that you made a thing. And
absolutely.
whoever's watching, you have a thing that can be
That
your thing.
Yes, and that's the thing. And the
It
other
is.
thing is, all of us have this voice. I can hear some people possibly saying, "Oh yeah, but you guys are doing it already." Peg's doing kind of what I want to do, or Marie's doing what I want to do. They've already taken up all the spots. It's like,
Right.
no, no, there is more than enough for everyone
There
to go
is.
around. There
There
are
is.
over 7 billion people on the planet. We need your unique thing, that
Yeah.
combination that is only you. That is exactly what the world needs.
Amen, girl. We could just agree with each other all day long. Um,
This would actually be a very fruitful relationship. Peg and I would walk away going like, we're fabulous, whatever.
I know, right?
Everybody else needs to sit down.
Let's face it, we need people that are with our viewpoint. Not everybody is. It's a unique
No.
world we live in. So let's talk a little bit about copycats. Well, you
Yeah.
mentioned like people who say Peg's already done it and Marie's already done it because like your tagline, your website, which I know you update yours like once a year, and holy crap, your latest update. I want to cry a little bit. It's so damn good. So good.
Which world?
Yeah. Well, having a good website is super amazing. But let's talk about copycats because you teach people how to do things. I teach people, and sometimes people mistakenly, instead of coming up with their own thing, they cut and paste Marie's thing onto their WordPress site. So how do you deal with that kind of copycat stuff and because it's your intellectual property, and as creators, that's all we have.
Yes.
That's it.
So this is something that I think so many.
I just lost your sound for a second.
Oh,
No, it's back. Good.
okay, great. We're back.
Sorry.
No worries. What I was sharing was the copycat thing happens in, I think, almost every domain. With
Mm,
jewelry designers, an independent jewelry designer will come out with something, and then there's kind of another company. Again, I don't want to tag on Urban
yeah.
Outfitters. I just read one article about that. But in
Yeah.
terms of me, here's what we do. First of all, I do my best to communicate, and you know this because you've been through B school. I always say, look, I'm showing you examples. You have you and you. You need to do you. Don't do me. I'm showing you a framework, but you've got to do your own thing. That's the only way it's going to work. And as you said,
True.
not a lot of people, for whatever reason, they feel scared, they feel insecure, they want to try and save time. There are a myriad of reasons why people do it. It kind of makes me, I'm like, are you serious? Do you not know that we all see it? So
Yeah.
I try and vocalize and lead in that respect. But honestly, we also have a legal team,
Yeah.
and we will send folks. We try to be really kind and we try and be really compassionate most of the time. There are some times when some people are so blatant, like I've had our entire site, like in Europe, like word for word with all of my pictures, like
In your
me.
pictures?
Yes. I'm just like, oh my goodness. And you're just like, what are these people thinking?
Right.
So we will have our legal team contact folks and say,
Yeah.
yo, that ain't cool. You got to take that down. And
Right.
so, but it's a large investment in terms of resources and time because it's pretty constant these days.
It
And I
is.
think that as a business owner, you have to not get yourself off track. You have to create some kind of system for you and your team to handle it when it happens. You have to look
Hmm.
inside and think about your values and think about the kind of language that you want to use when you reach out to someone. And that isn't really a cut and paste cookie cutter kind of thing. Because sometimes something, like I said, is blatant. The
Yeah.
example in Europe where it's my face, it's my words, it's everything. And then there's other times where you can tell that someone is heavily, heavily influenced and almost skates on this line where you're like, why'd you go and do that? But there
Yeah.
isn't really a case to tell them to take it down. And in those instances, you might want to reach out with more of an olive branch and say, hey, we've gotten some emails about this. It's pretty clear that you were inspired by us, but of course you changed it, to this degree. And here would be our recommendations. You're going to do way better if you really make it your own and
Yeah.
appeal to someone's better nature.
Yeah. It's tough. I have dealt with it quite a bit. People cut and paste my articles. It's like, and I used to try to contact people, but believe it or not, those are the jerkiest people I've ever dealt with. Like they get all mad because I won't let them cut and paste, and I'm like, okay. So I usually just file the DCMA notice myself,
Mm-hmm.
like, but I haven't had like the whole website scanned with my pictures. It's like, I'm glad that would be crazy. I mean, that's where you're really like, really people? And wow, I did have somebody in Australia do something similar. They don't have as strict laws in other countries as we
Mm-hmm.
do, but Google kind of dominates the whole web. So it is possible to get those things fixed if it's a total cut and paste.
Yeah, I would say it depends on like the frequency in which it's
Hmm.
happening. So like for you, Peg, if it starts happening a lot more, if you haven't done this already, to like create a little bit of a system and have someone on your team or an assistant that you can always kind of filter those things off to. At least for me in the past, they would become energy sucks. Like,
Yeah.
it would become like,
It's like 5 minutes. It's like 5 minutes for me.
good for
I
you.
just, I do the notice and it's done. Like it takes
Good
two
for you.
seconds. So yeah, I figure if they have, yeah, whatever. I just deal with it too and move on. Some people say it's a big compliment, but it's really not when it's your intellectual property. So
No, it's not. Yeah, every time I hear that, I'm like, no, it ain't. It's a pain in the ass. I'm like, and
yeah,
it's stealing. It's not.
yeah. No, it's totally not. I mean, even on YouTube, people like download people's videos and upload them to their channel.
Can I just tell you something? I was just on our YouTube channel because someone on my team said, oh, look at this beautiful comment on this video. And I went over there and is this hilarious, Peg? Next to my own video, I see a video of my set with me and Tony Robbins. And that ain't my video. I was
Right.
like, okay. But
I
it's the
know.
world that we live in.
It's technology. Don't
Yeah.
use it for evil people. Use it only for good.
Use it for good.
Use it for only for good. So you've mentioned on your show that you don't spend a lot of time on social media, but it
Yes.
does drive a lot of your business.
Yes.
So can you talk about how you keep that work-life balance without getting sucked into the rabbit hole?
Absolutely. So for me, I love connecting with people. I love people. I wouldn't do what I do if I didn't.
Yeah.
And that said, running a company, our team, I think, gosh, we're 23 or 25 now, working
Wow.
on a book. There is a lot of moving pieces. So as much as this thing is useful, this thing also is an addiction and attention machine. And I'm very aware that its goals are not aligned with all of my goals. So it's about creating pockets of time. Sometimes I'm here in Los Angeles right now, and often when I'm going someplace that's not walkable, I'll actually take an Uber because that allows me to spend some time that I'm really not going to spend diving deep into a project and get back to people and engage. So I find these little windows of time where it really makes sense, where it's not pulling on my attention or stealing away from other longer term projects or higher value, quite frankly, things that I really need to devote deep focus to. That's how I do it. So it's not a perfect formula, but I don't wake up in the morning and look at my phone. I don't go to bed at night and look at my phone. And my relationships are really important to me. So if I'm having dinner or having a meal, this thing is actually not around. I don't even have it on the table. There's some studies that prove that if your phone's on the table during a meal, the level of intimacy and connection that you experience with the person that you're eating with goes way down because some little part of your mind is like drawn to this thing and everyone feels it. So I try and do my best. And if I'm going to be on social media for a while and say like Josh is around or whatever, I'll say, hey guys, I got to take 10 or 15 minutes. I got to go, deal with something or I need to handle this. And then once that time is done, I'm done.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And then there's the iPhone effect too, when one person picks up their phone like everyone does, and 100% of the conversation is gone. I love the ones where people put the phone on the table, everybody puts it there, and the first one that picks it up has to pay the whole tab.
That's a good one.
But yeah, keeping it away is super important because it's not worth it. I sometimes will take a picture of the food and the table, like depending on what's going on. I don't usually post too much food, but then I put it away. If I do that, like then I put it away and done, so.
Exactly. Josh and we try, because he's the person I'm with the most, just to have really open dialogue about it. So it's like, hey, I'm going to do this. This is real cute. It's like, okay, do it. And then it's like, okay, and now I really want your full attention. Okay, great. Now you get my full attention. So I feel like, and those are some lessons that are hard won because we've had a lot of fights. I'm like, dude, this is my business. This is going on. Like, I got to handle this. This is what takes care of a lot of things. And then at the other times where it's like, you know what? I really need to put it down.
Yeah. Yeah. And being aware of those things too, not letting it control if you feel like it's controlling you, it's a really good time to put it away.
Yes.
For sure. So as entrepreneurs, and you kind of mentioned your team a little bit, but as entrepreneurs, we have to wear tons and tons of different hats. So at some point to grow and expand, we have to bring on a team.
Yes.
When do you know when it's a good time to start a team, and how do you find the right people to work with?
Big, huge, important question. From my experience, most of us wait too long. And I will say, I see that mostly with women. For whatever reason, the men in my life and the men that I've coached have a much easier time going, oh, yeah, I need a team. I'm going to bring them on. They're so much more comfortable. And so many of the women that I've experienced try and do it all themselves and want to hang on to everything as long as possible. So I would say sooner than you probably think. In terms of finding the right people, there are many different methods to do that. One of the things that we do in our company now is we try and keep what's called a virtual bench. Anytime we come across anyone, like if I meet them at a networking event or anyone on my team meets someone who just has that kick-ass, driven, focused, detail-oriented, positive attitude vibe, we're like, who are you? What's going on? So I will keep in touch with people. I found some of my most key team members, they were clients. They were customers in my program. And I watched how they behaved. And I went and plucked them. And then I did my best sales job to say, come on over here and work with me. So I think that there are so many places you can find it. You can find it on social media. You can find it through friends of friends. You can go on sites and put out, one of the things we did recently was we actually put out basically a help wanted ad on our Instagram stories.
I saw it in your Facebook page too a while ago.
Yeah.
We're hiring a designer. It was quite a while ago.
Yeah, so we've done lots of things. So I feel like you have to use every vehicle that's at your disposal, your
Hmm.
personal network, if you have people that you know on LinkedIn, whatever, cold call, but you've got to know what you're looking for, know the
Yeah.
exact skill set, know what you can pay. And I would say this is a really big lesson that cost us a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever you can to have a test period. So pay people for project work, pay them for part-time work, but find a way to experiment and test. It's kind of like dating. You're not just going to go like, oh, wow, this person looks great. Let's just get married. You would never do that. You would date, right? Before you're going to
Yeah,
put a ring on it. You got to do the same thing in this world, I believe, when it comes to hiring, especially when you don't have many resources, when you
right,
can't afford to make a big mess up that could
right.
cost you a lot financially, legally, emotionally. Like it's a big mess. But if you
Hmm.
can find a small targeted project to test each other out on and see if you like working together, it's the best and fastest way to find great talent.
Yeah, that's a great. I save things on collections on Instagram, like when I really love someone's work. Like there's somebody, she posted a logo that she designed, and I was like, that's definitely who's making my next logo because it was like amazing. So
Mm.
I do that too. I keep my eyes open for like good skill
Talent.
sets. Yeah,
Yeah,
talent. It's easy to spot, right?
absolutely. You can feel it. And you can,
Yeah.
just observing people, you start to see who's hungry, who's
Hmm.
driven, and who's like
Hmm.
on their game.
Yeah. Agree. Agree again. Imagine that.
Agree.
So I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about money and abundance because I love your theories on money. The video when you talked about like earning your money cracked me up. Gotta respect the money, you know?
Yes.
So when I have like a big job where I do a speaking engagement when I'm out of town, I always like spend a little money. Like I give back into the local community. It's like I like to just give, like, I feel like if the universe is like gifting me some money, I like to
Yes.
gift it back. Like I'll do a project with like a contractor or I buy something. So can you talk a little bit about your money transformation and your state of enoughness?
Yes. So, for me, I came from a very blue collar working class town in New Jersey. We didn't have very much. We weren't like in poverty or anything like that, but it was never like, yay, tons of money running around. And after I graduated from school, like many people, I was had some debt that I had racked up. And I just remember making this promise to myself that I was going to handle this. Like I could feel that there was so much scarcity inside. And because my mom actually did grow up very poor, a lot of those kind of scarcity mindsets around money were just naturally absorbed in my head as well. And so I really made it a focus in my early 20s, not only to get debt free, but to do whatever it took to completely realize a new reality around money because I knew it was possible. I saw other people out there, but I was just not there yet. And
Hmm.
one of the most profound things that I did was early on in my career. I always knew that I wanted my business to be about more than just me. I'm not the kind of person, and by the way, this is not knocking anyone who's like this. I'm just really not that into like tons of shoes or tons of clothes. It's like those things don't excite me. I like experiences and I also like taking care of people. So I said, I want my business to be about giving back as well. But at that time, I was getting scared every time I would open up my checkbook, Peg. And,
Yeah.
because some months there wasn't enough to take care
It's
of
hard.
all of the things, right?
Yeah, entrepreneurial income is scary because it's
It's
not a set check.
Exactly, especially in the beginning. And
Yeah.
so I had this thought, and I said, if I really want to handle kind of this inner scarcity once and for all, then I need to start behaving in a way that I know is better aligned with reality. Meaning, I need to behave in the way that I know is true, not these messed up thoughts I have in my mind. So I pledged, there was a new coaching program I was doing. I said, I'm going to give away 10% of the profits. And that terrified me at that time because, again, I was coming from a reality that there wasn't enough.
Right.
And I said, no, I'm going to make this promise no matter what it is. 10% of the profits, I'm just going to give it away. And I got so excited by that idea. And I had no clue whether people were going to sign up for the coaching program. I didn't know what was going to happen. Well, people did wind up signing up. And that money came out to be about $7,000, which for me at that time, first of all, $7,000 is still a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
And at that time in my career, it was an enormous amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm so excited to give this away. So I was looking around for a particular charity, and I had met some people from the UN Foundation, and they were launching their first campaign for an initiative called Girl Up, which is all about helping bring awareness and also education to the world. I think it's 60 million young girls who are denied education. And I said, okay, great. You guys are having this launch party. Can I come? I'd like to give you a check. And Peg, I had always had this kind of little weird fantasy that I wanted to give someone one of those really big checks and like make their day.
Yep.
So I called up the local Kinko's and I was like, hey, can you guys just print a big check because I want to give it to this organization. So I wound up going to this kind of launch event, and they brought me on stage because, again, they had no funding at that point. I was their first donor, which was, again, ridiculous to me because my own checkbook was scary.
Right.
And I gave that check on stage, and it was so incredibly moving. And I stepped off stage, Peg, and a woman from Richard Branson's team came up to me. And she said, I would love to hear about what you do, and I want to see if you're potentially interested in coming on a trip to South Africa with Sir Richard Branson. And
You're like, oh,
I
let me
couldn't
think
believe
about
it.
it.
Yeah. I started jumping up and down, like
Of
right
course.
there. I was like, I could not contain myself. But it was a really big lesson for me in taking that risk and in aligning myself with the behaviors that I knew were true on a cellular level, but that weren't yet a reality in my own life. And all of the events that transpired from that, life-changing.
Totally. And because you gave first, it's such a huge key that I think people, it is scary. Or to make, segueing into our next section, to make an investment in yourself is also scary. When you're an entrepreneur and you're like, I want to get to the next level, but what do I do? I want to do more than I'm doing. I'm spinning my wheels. I'm not getting there. And that's where I was. For a couple of years, I had wanted to do B school, but I just I didn't have the funds to do it. Kids in college, like whatever. But then finally, like 2 years ago, I said to myself, I am worth it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the payment plan. I'm not going to feel guilty about it, because that's another thing that women feel guilty about, spending the money that if their family, like all those things, I am worth it. So I did it, and I told myself, no client work. I'm not going to take any client work. I'm going to focus. I'm going to do B school. This is like me, that like the next 2 months are going to be about me, how to get to the next level. So I'm in the class, loving it. I'm like loving it because I love learning so much. And you guys have such great materials in there too. It's like everything you could possibly want to know. Hitting all the target, like you have the written, you can listen to it, you can watch it. Like everybody has different learning styles. Personally, I don't enjoy listening. I like video or reading. Like for me, podcasts are not my favorite. Maybe other people, obviously they're very popular, but for me, not my fave. So I'm in the class, and I didn't check email. Don't do anything else, because you got to focus while you're, putting in the time. And I had an email from one of your very favorite brands, who I shall not name, but they're one of your very favorite brands. And they said, we want to work with you. We love what you do. I have a little line in my tagline says, like, I make the best brands better. I work with the best brands and make them even better. And they're like, we're a good brand, but we want to be even better. And so that was like a sign. Like sometimes you just get the sign, like, okay, I will contact these people, because that was like too direct of a sign, almost like Richard Branson's people showing up right after. Like it just, when you make the leap, like the universe catches you. I really feel that's true. And so I contacted them, and that one client, it was like the income was 5 times what I paid. So not only did it pay for itself, but it was like way beyond that. It was crazy. Like, and if you told someone that would happen, like you can't say, Marie, if you just do that, like if you make that donation, this really great thing will happen. Like it doesn't happen like that. You have to make the leap.
Yes, over and over again. And congratulations to you, Peg. That is just, it's incredible. And you know this, once you're a B schooler, you're a B schooler for life. You can come back and take the program every year for free. Like you don't pay again.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think, jumping into B school, like what are the goals? Like when you started it and where it is now, it evolves every year, which is awesome. Like you said, you guys update it. So who do you feel like is your target student? Like,
yes.
And what will people learn in B school?
So I started B school because when I was first beginning my online business, this is back in the early 2000s, where online business was new. It was the wild, wild west.
Hmm.
And as I was trying to figure out how to do all these things and pull these things together, I was going to all these business conferences, these marketing conferences, anywhere I could go to learn.
Yeah.
And when I would attend these things, 99.9%, sometimes 100% of the presenters were men.
Hmm.
And some of them were fine, some of them were great, but many of them talked about business and talked about marketing in such a way where customers were nothing more than numbers on the bottom of your balance sheet. And it was all
Right.
about how do you extract as much profit as possible. And, there's like lightning bolts and highlighters. And it was just like, it was nothing that I thought business could be. There was
Right.
no soul, there was no integrity, there was nothing about values. The actual aesthetics of it were non-existent. So there was no joy or pleasure in learning. And again, it was devoid of some of the kind of holistic depth that I thought business needed. My dad was a small business owner, and I remember going to work with him when I was a kid, and I would see the dedication and like how you always put your customer first and like all of these beautiful human traits that came out that I was like, why is there such a big disconnect?
Yeah.
And the other thing was this, I don't have an MBA, right? So I was very intimidated by this idea of entrepreneurship. And so once I got my business going and learned about how it all works, and it was working for me, so many people started asking me, hey, how are you doing this? Like, how does this whole thing work? And I
Hmm.
realized there was a huge hole in the market for business education that was grounded, that was practical, that took into account how busy people were, the fact that they might not have MBAs, that they aren't necessarily going out to secure VC funding. Like, that's a different flavor of entrepreneurship, but a
Yeah.
lot of people just want to start something at their kitchen table and see if it can work. A lot of
Yeah.
people want to bootstrap. Like for me, I've been offered funding. I've never taken funding because mama likes control. I want to, I like having total ownership and control over my game. That's just me.
Yeah.
So in terms of who is B School for, B School is for anyone who wants to start or grow a business that is a true expression of what they feel their biggest gifts
Hmm.
and creativity is in this world. So it can be a product-based business. You can be selling candles or juicing or whatever the heck you want to sell, glassware, electronics, doesn't matter. Or it could be a service-based business. Someone like you, if you're selling social media oriented services, or you're a massage therapist, or you're a designer, or you're an artist, doesn't matter what you're selling. But if you want to understand how to start and grow something meaningful, that's profitable, that aligns with your values, how to use the online tools today to not be overwhelmed, but to actually get results and to do so in a way where you're really proud of everything that you put out, then B
Hmm.
School's for you.
Totally. I totally agree. And you don't have to know those things going into it, which I love. Like
Yeah.
it's not like I don't know what my big idea is right this moment, so I'm not going to do it right now. Like that's the wrong way. Like the longer you wait, and number one, B School only comes out once a year. It's important
Yes.
to note that like you have that one shot, and if you don't get it, you got to wait a whole other year and think about why you didn't do it, which but sometimes it's okay, sometimes maybe this is your second or third time hearing it, like I was, and maybe this is the year for you. Like, there's
Yeah.
no right or wrong time, but sometimes you do have to take the leap, and then you'll get the client email, or Richard Branson's people will be at the bottom of the stairs. Like, you just never know what that thing is. So I like you, I like to encourage all the people that follow me, like, you can really do it. Like, I always tell people, if I can do it, you can do it too. I'm just a girl. I live in New Hampshire. I'm like in one of the smallest states, not the smallest, but one of the smallest states. I
Yeah.
have actually more followers than there are people in my whole state.
Ah!
And when you think about it, it's funny. Like it's a funny kind of stat, and it sounds
Yeah.
like a braggy kind of stat. I don't mean it in a
No,
braggy way, but like
it's fun.
I'm
It's
a
just
girl with a computer. Like if I can do it, I really feel like when you put your heart into things, you can do it.
absolutely 100%. And for someone who's kind of curious, and they're like, gosh, I want to do something, but I'm not quite sure it is,
Mhm.
what it is, B School is perfect for you because you're putting
Mhm.
yourself in an environment that's highly creative, highly
Mhm.
supportive. You're getting a
Mhm.
chance to kind of taste and sample and see all these possibilities. And you can't help but have yourself be ignited in that environment. And, I've had
Exactly.
people take the course who are also like New York Times bestselling authors. I've had people take the course who are already multimillionaire business owners, but the online piece of their business, they kind of knew they're like, there's something I'm missing here. Like
Yeah.
there's more that we can do that I just want to get in and see what else is possible to kind of really 10x this thing. So there's
Yeah.
people from every different level. And I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of the diversity in the sizes of the businesses, of the stage where people are at. And as you know, Peg, because you've been through it, it's like you have B School for life. So even if
Hmm.
you go through the program, you're like, oh my gosh, this first part, like this is where I need to focus. Well, you come back as much as you want and again, get through the whole thing.
Yeah. It's important. I just actually redid copy cure again too, because I was
Ah,
working on some stuff and I was like, sometimes you got to resharpen that pencil,
a
and just
100%.
like, do I need to like read, use your same text, you got to update stuff. So it
Yeah.
can't be a bunch of things. Like you can't be brand new and just thinking, I want to do this great thing. I got to figure out what my gifts are. You could have, I was actually probably a little bit farther along maybe than maybe some people,
Yeah.
because I already had published my book at that point.
Mhm.
But I just know that like everybody needs to level it up. You can't stagnate because that is one thing in the online world. Like you can you could get run over if you're not like, got to
Yeah.
keep growing and expanding
And
too.
there's no better place to do that than with a whole group of humans who are like-minded, who are kind,
Yeah.
who are generous, and you get to like kind of ping off of all of these new technologies. I mean, like every year that we run B School Peg, I'm always learning things because we have these new conversations and someone brings in a new technology and someone shows and we're like, wow. So it's
Yeah.
up level time for everybody. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. There's always room to learn
Yeah.
when your mind is open, I think.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Marie, for all your wisdom and sharing. And I'm so excited to be partnering with you for B School this year. And I'm excited for everybody who watched this. I hope you're inspired and, thinking about what your next thing is going to be. And
Yes.
maybe you want to learn from Marie and I. I
Well,
think
thank
so.
you. I think so too. You are welcome. If you've had fun with this, and again, we
Yeah.
have everything online. Peg will share links so you can come check
Yeah.
it out. Everything is there for you to make a great choice for you, but we would love to have you.
Yep.
I can't think of any other place that like offers a guarantee, lifetime access, and the badass people like Peg and so many others that you get to hang out with. It's incredible.
You learn from the best, right?
Yeah,
Learn from
absolutely.
Marie, who is the best. Your team is amazing. And then all the other people in there too. Like it's positivity definitely snowballs, like
Yes.
and excitement and enthusiasm. And that's what you get. I actually we forgot to even mention during the 2 months while the class is going, you have calls and there's a lot of things that are kind of
Oh
there's
yeah.
live things. So there's that 2 months is super active. And then after that, you can redo things and you
Yeah, and
can
we have the community all year long. I
yeah.
mean, the B Schoolers alumni community, there's
Hmm.
always someone that you can connect with, even Team Forleo. Like we are constantly around. I see
Yeah.
letters every single week from the team of like B Schoolers who wrote in and say, "Hey, I need help with this." You are always supported, never left on your own.
Awesome. And you can't, that's amazing. Okay. Well, I don't want to take any more of your time because we've taken a lot. And thank you so much. And
Thank
it was a
you.
pleasure now that we're best friends. I mean, I'll be in LA. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, of course. Just come over for coffee, Peg. Thanks so much. We're just going to agree with each other all day and then skip around town. I love it.
All right. It's great talking to you, Marie.
Thank you so much, Peg.
Thank you.
You loved that interview with Marie as much as I did. Is she amazing or what? If you want more information about B School, click below on my link and you can find more information about the program, get more testimonials. But I'm telling you, I really love this program. Otherwise, I wouldn't be recommending it to you. If you are ready to sign up, again, click the link below. You can do a payment plan, you can pay for it all at once. It's a great tax write off. Your skills will be amazing moving forward, and your business is going to thank you. So thanks for your time and watching the video, and let me know if you have any questions.